disabled my own cousin after losing my temper and pushing him. Nobody knows except my old counselor. I've felt terrible about this for years and have only told a counselor when I was having anxiety issues in college. I am now on an SSRI. So I have a bunch of cousins. My mom and her siblings had 3-4 kids apiece, and a couple of them got married into new families. Way too many cousins. Don't even know some of them. Anyway, I had one cousin, a couple years older than me, who was a total sick jerk. Always in trouble, cussing his mom out. None of the other cousins liked this kid, even his younger siblings from other dads, if that says anything. He would get us in trouble. He kicked at a fence at my mom's place for no reason, breaking several boards. The kid would hurt animals all of the time. He killed his own guinea pig by constantly flicking its eye and head in front of me. Sick. He would always tell us grotesque things, like he wanted to kill his mom or his sisters, even screaming these claims at them in temper tantrums. In one particular case, he once held me down and spit down my throat. Never forget. Anyway, I was hanging out with him in the woods near our auntie's house during a family shindig one summer. I was maybe 12 or 13. There was a nearby quarry that was half empty, concreted with smelly algae growth most of the year. We were walking near a part of the quarry that was maybe 6 feet off the ground with muck at the bottom. The asshole started acting like he was going to push me in, and I believed him. He actually pushed me quite hard, and I grabbed his arm and pulled myself away from the edge. That freaked me out, and I lost my temper and pushed him. He fell in, hitting the bottom with a sort of head whiplash. Even through the muck I still heard a sickening thud of his head hitting something hard. He was unresponsive. I bolted in a panic back to the house and went inside while most of the adults were in another part of the house. Nobody noticed he was gone until his mom was leaving. Nobody really cared until his mom started freaking out. They asked everyone, plus myself, and I guess I kept my cool. Didn't take long when they found him. Rushed to hospital. He was alive and even conscious. Looking back, it's surprising he didn't drown in that muck. He cracked his skull. Massive concussion, obviously. Had issues remembering anything for a while. Lost some of his motor skills and walking ability. Has never been the same. Didn't finish school. He still lives with his mom under some disability program almost 15 years later. He isn't an asshole anymore. Last time I saw him he was fat as hell, playing video games. I beat his ass in Madden. Dude can't even pass for 15 yards. I lied and told the authorities that I had been sexually abused. So, I grew up in a very emotionally abusive home. My family was also members of a very insular cult. I was so desperate to leave that I lied and told everyone, including the authorities, that I had been molested. The cops ended up seeing right through my bullshit. To this day I feel terrible. I inadvertently contributed to the fact that many women who were actually abused are not believed because of people like me. I don't know any way to remedy my evil deeds. I let my friend freeze in a park's bench when I was 13. I never, ever, talked about this, but I just can't take it anymore. I was 13 years old and was going through this unruly teen phase, you know? Me and two of my friends decided to get some alcohol and get wasted after school. It's pretty easy to get booze as an underage person where I come from, so, when we left class, we went straight to the market and bought 2 bottles of a really strong drink called Ascoff. We went to a park and at about 5 p.m. we started drinking. We had that rush of doing something illegal, and after an hour or two, we all were already really drunk. About 7-8 p.m., one of my friends passed out. He was the one who drank the most. It was his first experience with alcohol, and when he got unconscious, me and my other friend started to get worried. We put him laying down on a bench, tried to give him water, and did everything we could to wake him up, but he kept sleeping. A couple of hours passed, and it was getting pretty late, so I made the worst decision of my life. I suggested to leave him there overnight, so his mom wouldn't find out we got alcohol. I unlocked his phone and texted her, "Mom, I'm sleeping at S today." Then we made him as comfortable as possible, and left. I thought he would just wake up in the middle of the night and go home. I was so scared of my mom finding out. In the next day, he didn't answer any of my texts and didn't show up to school. A teacher close to his mother walked in our classroom and said he was in the hospital, in an extremely serious situation. He experienced alcohol poisoning and hypothermia. His brain was damaged by his super low body temperature. He stayed about 12 hours in the hospital before he died. No one ever found out me and my friend were there with him that day, and we swore to take the to our graves. I told my mom I didn't want to go to his funeral because I couldn't take it, but it was actually because of the guilt. I never saw his mother again, and the people at my school don't talk about this anymore. Sometimes I wonder what life would he have had if I didn't leave him to freeze to death on that bench. I talk to girls and play with their emotions for the thrill of it. Pretty much as the title says, I'll talk to multiple girls, lie a lot about myself and twist my personality to be what they want so they are more likely to develop feelings for me. When they do, I continue to play about with them mentally. The few I bothered actually going out with multiple people commented on how different I was when with them yet how much they seemed to be changing. I never had and doubt I ever will have any feelings for any of them and do it purely for my entertainment when I get to shoot them down and reveal how wrong they were. I tend to target much more unstable people or those in worse places as they are easier to manipulate and are willing to cover their eyes to any potential faults in the hope they've found someone who can really help, which is where I have the most fun playing my hand and giving myself a sense of power over them. I lied about being assaulted by a family member when I was 14. I've been living with this for the past 8 years, and I know I must own up to my mistakes so I can finally move on with my life. This post is not meant to justify my actions. What I did was unforgivable, and me giving context is only to solidify the fact that these were my actions and my fault, so I can finally bury the hatchet and move on. I cannot talk for anyone else. How I reacted to being mistreated is entirely my blame to take, and I shouldn't be used as representation of people who have experienced similar things. What I did not only could have ruined my cousin's life, more context on the word choice in the post, but it discredits actual sexual abuse victims. For which, I am deeply and truly sorry. A year ago I met somebody affected by somebody like me, and that's when I truly realized what I'd done. I'm so sorry. Growing up, my brother was slowly turning me against my cousin. I remember my brother telling me stories of my cousin making up stories about our family, making threats to hurt me, and being very public with them. I haven't seen these for myself. Recently, I asked my brother whether they were legit, and he told me he couldn't remember but wouldn't be surprised if they were. Regardless, I believed him at the time. I was around 10. So in my head, my cousin was this big, horrible monster that wanted to hurt me and my family. Years passed and I took different signals wrong. Innocent looks he'd give me I took as something a lot worse, and when I was telling these concerns of mine to a friend, I remember how sympathetic she was. I don't want to delve deep into this issue, because its relevance is limited only to my response, but when I saw how sympathetic she was towards me, I began twisting the lie even more. I liked the attention she was giving me. I liked feeling like someone cared for me, and I wanted to be the victim. So I kept on telling it. It wasn't until I was a freshman in high school that I finally stopped. Before this, I'd only told friends, but a certain negative encounter with my bully made me lie. It felt like second nature at this point, and I'd become so desensitized to the lie. I had dehumanized my cousin to the point I wore this as a staple of my personality. Even though I never told my elders or strangers, I felt a certain superiority. So telling this to my bully was an attempt to gain power back. I was trying to gain sympathy from her, but she just turned it against me. I stopped talking about it since then, but it wasn't until a year ago that I truly realized how badly I had messed up. Somebody extremely special to me went through the exact same thing, but worse. I won't get into specifics for obvious reasons, but when I saw how powerful an accusation like that was, everything came crumbling back down. I told all my friends the truth and apologized deeply to everyone I had lied to. I've been discussing this with my therapist, and I'm dealing with my problems. I'm not a good person, but I am trying my best to be. I'm trying to own up to my mistakes, so I can finally become a better person. Thank you for reading, and I'm sorry.